Hi, this is Dr. Fab Mancini, and I am so excited to be able to have this interview with what I call a living legend in chiropractic, and that is my dear friend, Dr. Arlan Fuhr, the founder of Activator Methods International. Hi, Arlan, how are you today?
Good morning, how are you?
You know, I'm so excited because, every time you and I get together, it's always very refreshing because number one, we both love this profession of chiropractic. Number two, we both feel that the need out there in society is greater today than ever. In fact, you and I were recently talking that this is a time where chiropractic is more essential than ever because we offer things that many of the other methods of healthcare are not going to be able to offer. And I just wanted to catch up with you and also ask you about multi-radiance laser therapy, because I know that you have been very big in that world, and I know that you have also have had a great relationship with them in the past. So tell me a little bit about where we are with Activator. I know you have had tremendous growth over the years. So tell me what the Activator world looks like around the United States and around the world.
Well, I'm very happy you asked that question because you started off with chiropractic becoming more essential than ever. And it's the truth. You know me, I have a saying, data always wins. And so we track our international referral list. And we have some 2,000 proficiency rated doctors on our referral list. The week before the pandemic set in, we were sending about 15,000 patients a month to our proficiency rated doctors. Well, when the pandemic hit, everything just stopped. And so we were watching all of our statistics to see what would take place. I'm happy to report to you today that it's even above what it was before the pandemic came, because chiropractic is essential. And people, when they get stressed out and they get locked down and they have all these other difficulties wearing their masks and so forth, they need to be adjusted. And I'm happy to report to you that our doctors are up. The practices are actually above what they were back in March, just because chiropractic is so essential.
I love that because, one of the things that I love about you is that you're very thorough and you have always been consistent, year to year, all these years of contribution, and not too many people that are still living that have contributed like you have. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of me, on behalf of the profession, because you truly have been a leader that has tremendous integrity, but also somebody that has made more contributions, I think, to the advancement of chiropractic than most out there. Let's talk a little bit about this relationship with multi-radiance laser therapy. I know that they've been a partner of yours for the last 10 years, but tell me how you see this technology of laser therapy and in the world of activator doctors, and why you've made it part of your curriculum.
Well, because again, I'm going to go back to the old saying of data always wins. And I thought laser was just a come Johnny come lately type thing. And it was probably a bunch of crap. And then I started to looking at the literature, and they had more data than we had. And so we started then with some of our select doctors, and they got started using it. And my gosh, it worked perfectly with Activator because, Activator is low force. And so this works just perfectly with Activator. It doesn't upset the body, and it's good for inflammation and so forth. So I had to take my words back in the beginning because it was just so data driven. And Max has integrity. And of course, we became friends over all this. And then I had a personal experience. And my wife had arthritis in her knees for 20 years. And she said, someday I'm probably going to have a knee replacement. Well, 2 years ago, the final came. And so she went under the knife, and that was almost, killed me. But so we looked to see the rehab people that we were going to use for her coming out of surgery and so forth. And I called Max because I knew he had some things for inflammation and so forth. And so he did a whole protocol for me for her coming out of surgery. Now, she came out of surgery, and I mean, if you haven't been around a knee replacement, the scar is about a foot long, and it's taking a major part of the body. It's a very traumatic type of surgery. So we started with her first day at home, and Max gave me the laser program for the inflammation and so forth. We used ice and we used laser on her, and she went to rehab like 3 days later. And here were these people laying in there. They were black and blue and swelled up all the way from their toes to their hip bones. And here she was without any swelling at all. And I mean, it was like a miracle. So now all the PTs are wondering, like, what in the world did you do to keep all this down? And so I explained the laser to them. And the group that we went to actually went and invested in lasers because they were so impressed with the ability to keep that swelling down during the knee surgery.
Multi-radiance has raised the bar when it comes to laser therapy, especially the scientific papers with the peer review papers that they've done. And you mentioned a little bit earlier the importance of science behind everything that we do. You've done that with chiropractic. You've definitely done that with activator methods because you've actually supported more research than any other technique instructor that I know. But tell me a little bit about why was the science of multi-radiance important to you as a practitioner, but also as a leader of activator to be able to integrate it within the activator protocols?
Well, number one, we're not going to integrate anything into activator that doesn't have any data. So we get stuff across our desk every week of people that would like to be in partnership with activator. And we say, oh, fine, why don't you just send us your papers? We'll review it, and then we can talk. I never hear any more from them because most of them, it's just a fly-by-night thing that they have a good idea and it's not data-driven. Now, let me give you one more example. This spring, my wife twisted her ankle. It's always my wife having trouble here, but she twisted her ankle and she pulled a ligament in her ankle. So we went to our friendly podiatrist, and he said, yes, you have a slightly torn ligament. And he said, we do a stem cell shot for that. And he said, we'd like to laser you. And my wife says, well, we have a laser at home. And he said, you better keep him as a husband because he's worth his weight in gold, because if he's got a laser, that's what I want you to use on it. Well, long story short, it took about another month of lasering and, taking care of her. Pain's gone. She doesn't have a problem from it today. But I got another special thing from Max and his research team. What do you do with a pulled ligament? So when I have a problem, I've done this from, different types of situations, but they've always been able to give me the different readings and settings and so forth. And by the way, I've got a laser in my home office. I've got 2 portable lasers, one for each house, and I've got one sitting here next to me. So,
it's amazing because I do the same thing. I've been a client of Multi-Radiance for many, many years. And as they kept coming up with the new razors, I kept ordering new ones because I like the portability, but also my children. I mean, my children has been laser because of the sports experience. Both of my children have lasers, and now that they have the rental ones that they can do themselves,
yep.
It's just such a great experience. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about if there's a chiropractor that may be watching this video and saying, you know what, I love chiropractic. I don't really know much about laser. I don't know much about multi-radiance. What would you tell them to consider in order to maybe add this tool, because it's really a tool, to align themselves with chiropractic care and multi-radiance lasers? What would you say to them that you have seen not only in your life, like you share, but in the lives of so many of your doctors?
Well, I would, if I were starting it out and probably I were a new doctor that didn't have as much funds as I needed to buy the big laser. You'll end up buying a big laser, by the way, but you can buy a portable. It's easy to transport and easy to take around. Another story, I have a friend of mine who's a surgeon, and he's a marathon runner, and he's 70 some years old, but he's was ready to go to Jerusalem to run the Jerusalem Marathon, and he pulled the Achilles tendon. And he said, what can you do for that in chiropractic? And I said, come and let me look at your feet and so forth. And he had a problem in his foot. I adjusted that. And then I said, here, I've got a little portable laser. You take this with you and you use that. So long story short, he took one of my portable lasers, which he's a good friend, so I lent it to him. And he came back about 2 weeks later and he said, I can't believe this thing. I'm ready to go run the Jerusalem Marathon. He had to stop because of the pandemic, but he's going this fall. That's how determined he is. And he said, do you think I could take that laser with me? I said, you're going to buy one. I'm not giving you to take that with you. And he just laughed because that's not a problem for him. But he found out from taking care of himself with it that it was something he couldn't go without if he's going to be a marathon runner.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Arlan. Thank you for taking this time to discuss this topic of multi-radiance lasers, because I think from somebody like you that have been in the profession for so long, one of the things that I knew that you would not be using these lasers unless you knew that there was plenty of research and data, because that has been the foundation of your career. One of the reasons.
By the way, we're just in the process right now. We have Activator Institute virtual training, and we're putting several things on it. And the laser is going to be one of the things that we put on as soon as we can get our company open where they do the shootings to be able to shoot again. The first thing we put on is laser. So just know that people will have the opportunity to see real training in the laser.
Yeah, and that's what I love about you working with multi-radiance, because it seems like between your team and their team, you're giving doctors the latest information, the evidence to support whatever you're doing, so you don't even have to worry about that, but also the protocols. I mean, I've used their protocols too. That's what saved my son. If Max had not sent me those protocols from his team, I don't think I would have ever figured out what to use and how to use it in order to help him. So I'm very excited that you have this laser component into the activator training, because I know that it will make them more complete. And also, I find, and you tell me what you think, Arlan, I find that patients are enamored with technology. You know, I mean, already they see the activator and they get excited because it's like, it's so unique, it's so unique, you know, and then you have the fancy one too. But then when they see the laser also, a unit that's very portable, that's very light, but it has this light, and all of a sudden you see the effectiveness of it. It's just something about it that the word of mouth just goes out there more than anything.
Well, it makes the patient realize that your office is up to date. I mean, I walk in an office and I can just about tell you, are they reading the literature? Are they doing this and that by the equipment they have? I mean, my dentist, when I go into him, he's got the latest of everything. And that's who I go to. I don't want to go to somebody that's still pulling teeth without an anesthetic. I want somebody that knows what they're doing, up on the latest things. And that's the doctor I want to go to.
Well, and I love the fact that you see that. I love the fact that you have always done that with Activator. I love the fact that you've integrated, you know, the multi-radiance lasers into that program, because I know that when people experience that, all of a sudden they're like, wow, that is so cool. And they want to tell everybody about it. You know, Dr. Parker always taught me that if you want to be successful, always give patients more than what they expect. And I never forgot that. It was a simple principle, but I always, in practice, I always try to give a little bit more than what they expect. And I believe that by having Activator, by having the multi-radiance laser therapy, they're giving patients far more than the patients will ever expect, which in turn will mean that the patient will not only get better faster, but they will refer more people into your practice.
I think you're absolutely right.
Well, thank you, Arlan. I love you, and thank you for all you've done for chiropractic, and for me personally all these years by being such a good friend and a good mentor for me to follow.
Thank you, and same to you.